Hello and welcome to our June on the farm update. Today I've got with me Jonny James from CCC, Chichester Crop Consultancy. June on the farm for us is really about a lot of harvest prep, but the reason I've got Jonny with me is because across the UK there will be lots and lots of crop trials going on. And earlier this week we went to some crop trials down at Hale Farm at West Sussex. Can you just give us a little bit of first of all, Jonny, actually tell us a little bit about CCC. Who is CCC and what do they do?
Yeah, so we're an independent agronomy group set up in the 80s. So we're actually a bit unique in that we're a cooperative as well as an independent company. So we're essentially owned by the farmer for the farmer. So every member has a direct share and interest in the group. We were set up in the 80s and we now cover between Dorset and Kent across the south of England. There's 5 of us.
5 full-time agronomists. And when you say independent, people often don't believe this, but do you get any sort of kickbacks?
No,
Are you swayed by any particular manufacturers or anything?
We have no commercial interest whatsoever at all. We're purely paid on an acreage basis for advice, so that might be to do nothing. But we have no incentive to push product or sell product. We have no commercial interest, hence why we're members of the AICC, which is the biggest independent group organisation across Europe.
And the crop trials, why are people putting on all these crop trials and why do farmers go to them at this time of the year? Because it's quite a big thing in June, isn't it?
It's a really big thing, and for us we've got a really good site down at West Sussex, so very local to where we are right now. It's a great opportunity for us to come and see new varieties, what disease pressures they're under, and actually see them in an untreated situation as well as a treated situation. Obviously we've seen a big shift recently to the YR15 genetics yellow rust, so it actually gives us a first-hand opportunity to see what that looks like in field in an untreated scenario. There was a hell of a lot of yellow rust and brown rust in the soil down at Witterings. And actually it's really useful, I think, for farmers to come and see that firsthand. And it's not just us saying that don't grow this variety because of X, Y or Z. You can actually see it firsthand.
I think for us, or me as a fairly risk-averse farmer, more often than not, what it does is confirm to me that I'm going to carry on doing what I did last year, because we grow nearly all Group 1 milling wheat. And we've got quite a few new varieties come out now. We've moved over, so Skyfall, Zayat and Vibe are what we're growing this year. And I think, having been around the trials and looked and listened to you all this year, I think we'll do the same next year. So even if it just confirms that that's still the right thing to do, obviously we want to see how this harvest is going to progress. So you'll probably notice we're stood in a field of oilseed rape, because the big question now is oilseed rape desiccation. So we'll go through this with a dose of glyphosate and pod stick, try and protect against crop losses when we're combining or adverse weather conditions for the pod stick. And it's all about timing, isn't it? Because if we go in too early, the consequences are pretty severe. You'll
end up with a lot of red seed, poor oil content, and we'll have a knock on yield. So getting that timing right is quite key, really.
But the reason we're doing it is really about the harvestability, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had a bit of an issue last year where we probably tried to cut oilseed rape too early, and the combine was broken down for several days with broken shafts and blockages and all sorts. So we do not want a repeat of that. No. Right, Jonny, show us what happens when you open up a pod. What are we looking for?
So you've got that pod there. Lots of them. Green seeds have already turned brown. There's a few just red ones there, but they are turning naturally. We keep going through the pods.
And these pods are fairly low down on the plant, aren't they?
Yeah. So you want to pick 20 or so at random, and just work your way across. And
we're looking for what colour?
And we want them to be brown or dark colour black.
And actually, if you look at some of these, you can almost shake the crop and hear them rattling in some of the top pods, because some of the top pods are almost to the point of being a little bit brittle, where they're almost ripe.
A little bit of verticillium showing here on this. This is a crop of matrix. It's not got the best tolerance to verticillium, and actually there's a little bit showing here. And again, the high temperatures will have helped induce that.
So, is this ready?
This is ready. Yeah. No, I've been having a look earlier. You say if you pick sort of 10 or 20 pods, the majority of them, sort of over 70–80% of those are now brown or turning. So I'm happy for this to go. It's with this 35-degree heat we've had for the last 5 days, it's turned very quickly.
But we're not allowed to spray it in 35-degree heat, are we?
I would advise not to. It won't be very effective. I mean, we're quite fortunate here, actually. The crop is pretty weed free, so we are literally just trying to even the crop up from a desiccation point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you want a good uptake on the plant.
We're going to have to be patient and spray very early. So
early morning.
We have started on some other blocks of rape we did about 30 hectares at 6 a.m. yesterday, and I think another 30 hectares will be sprayed off at 6 a.m. this morning, hopefully. I haven't spoken to the sprayer driver yet. But yeah, we can't spray once it gets into the mid-20s and above. So the weather, Johnny, as an agronomist, we've had the last 2 days, we've had over 35 degrees down here on the south coast in West Sussex. Lots of people that aren't involved in agriculture have been asking me what the implications are for that. And what do you think? Is this detrimental? Does it matter? Which crops are going to be heavily affected?
I think every crop is going to suffer. You can see already just driving around, wheat crops are turning unnaturally quickly. So yeah, there will be an element of over ripening too quick. So that could potentially, affect 1,000 grain weight in yield there. Potentially, spring crops will be the ones specific weights.
So yeah, we're likely we may see more pinched grains
potentially, yeah,
and a lower specific weight.
But also, it's really the spring crops that are suffering the most. Spring barley, it came into it extremely quickly during the drought back in April, May, and that is already beginning to show signs of turning.
The spring barley down here always astonishes me. We grow malting barley on quite sort of light chalky ground, which you would think would be bad in a year like this with this extreme heat. But it means that we can get on and drill it fairly early, so either January or February. And actually, it doesn't need that much rain if it's established nicely. The concern for me with this weather has got to be on the spring beans, though. Fortunately, we don't have many hectares of it this year, but they're not going to be. Nothing's going to be potting up from now on. Flowers will be aborting, won't they?
Well, they are, but they're mid-flower at the moment, and this 35 degrees for 5 days is not going to be good.
And I think for us, if I look back over the last 10 years, the crop with the greatest variation in yield is spring beans. And it's because you can have a year like this where it's really going to struggle, and then next year you could end up with over 6 tonne a hectare. This year, what are we going to get? I mean, who knows? It could be sub 2.5, couldn't it?
Well,
it could
potentially. I mean, they looked really well. I think the bit on the heavier ground down at Bursted there, I think that should hold up okay. But on the slightly lighter ground, potentially that could be a problem.
They're going to struggle, aren't they?
And if we don't get much rain for too long, even maize will start to struggle. I know it enjoys this temperature. It's got a beautiful colour at the moment, but it will need some rain again before too long. Yeah.
So harvest outlook is okay?
I think on the whole, there's some good looking wheats out there. They're disease free. Weed control's been pretty good. We've had plenty of sunshine. I think we had rain at just the right time. I'm hopeful that it will still be fairly positive.
So with the exception of spring beans and maybe spring barley, it's all to play for?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Johnny.
Brilliant.